Tell them really quick.
Okay, great. Kristen's gonna make sure the dog doesn't get held up in security.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sure.
I really want.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. It is Wednesday, April 27th, 2020. This is the regular meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners, taking place in person at the Lincoln County Courthouse in Newport, also being live streamed on YouTube and being recorded for later broadcast through the county website. Commissioner Hunt has an excused absence today, but Commissioner Jacobson and I constitute a quorum. First up, we are going to recognize Children's Mental Health Awareness Week in Lincoln County, and per usual practice, I'll read the proclamation and ask our presenters to come forward and be ready to talk to us more about this important recognition. In the matter of proclaiming May 1st through 7th, 2022 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week and May 5th, 2022 as Children's Mental Health Acceptance Day in Lincoln County. Whereas good mental health is a key component in a child's healthy development, and Children's Mental Health Day provides the opportunity to focus on this important matter while celebrating the accomplishments of children and families affected by mental health concerns. And whereas, according to the United States Department of Health and Human Services, 1 in 5 children is diagnosed with a mental health condition. And whereas research has shown early identification and appropriate treatment of mental health disorders among children and adolescents provides them better opportunities to lead full and productive lives. And whereas children and youth with mental health challenges and their families benefit from access to timely services and supports that are family, drive, youth-guided, and culturally appropriate. They also benefit from the integration of behavioral health in primary care, education, and child welfare. And whereas it is important that children and adolescents, along with their families and communities, learn about warning signs of mental health disorder and where to obtain necessary assistance and treatment. And whereas obtaining a full and accurate diagnosis of a child requires gathering information from diverse sources, including the family, school, and others involved with the child. Now, therefore, we, the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners, also acting as the local mental health authority, do hereby proclaim the week of May 1 to 7th as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week and May 5th as Children's Mental Health Acceptance Day in Lincoln County. We also call upon all county residents, government agencies, faith communities, businesses, schools, and other public and private entities to increase awareness and understanding of children's mental health and suicide prevention, and to learn the steps that everyone can take to protect their and their loved ones' mental health. And if you'd introduce yourselves, and the floor is yours.
My name's Linda Gray, and I'm the Child and Program Manager for the Child and Family Services here at Lincoln County.
And I'm Sarah Hurd. I am here with Lincoln County Public Health and our Health Promotion Department. I'm a health education specialist.
Thank you. So do you want me to go ahead?
Yes, please.
So I just have a few things I would like to add. That this is an opportunity to change perceptions around mental health in children. It's also a challenge to all of us to recognize children's uniqueness rather than the qualities or characteristics associated with their disability, diagnosis, or illness. According to the World Health Organization, as many as 5 children in the United States, ages 6 through 17, have a treatable mental health disorder such as depression, anxiety, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Half of all mental health conditions start by the age of about 14, but most cases are undetected and untreated. The consequences of not addressing youth and adolescent mental health conditions extend to adulthood, impairing physical and mental health and limiting opportunities to lead fulfilling lives as adults. So we are asking you to join us as families and providers in our community to help children with mental health conditions. And your efforts can help us shape better lives for our children in our community. I'd just kind of like to give you a couple of numbers a little bit. Suicide deaths, this is from the Oregon Health Authority. So suicide deaths in 2021 are similar to 2020. Mortality data is still being processed and numbers for recent months may change. 2021 suicide-related visits to ED and UCCs were similar to 2019 and 2020.
What does UCC mean?
The emergency rooms.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Urgent,
I can't remember exactly what those acronyms stand for. That's the state.
Okay, yeah.
That's the state acronyms that we use ED for. 2021 suicide related visits for youth, 2 EDs and UCCs, for youth ages 18 and under were similar. So what I would like to talk about though is a little bit about Lincoln County. So in Lincoln County during 2021, we served 207 youth in our ED rooms. 112 of those were 0 to 17. 95 of those were 18 to 24, which we consider up to the age 24 now as youth. We actually had, we did not have any completed suicides in 2021, but we have already had 3 since January to date in this year. There was another thing I wanted to give, and then I'm going to hand it over to Sarah. So the reason that we distinguished awareness and acceptance is because it has always since the 1949, I think, is when the awareness about mental health first started, and it's always been called awareness. But this year it's changing over to acceptance. And the reasons that it's doing that is so that we can accept that 1 in 5 youth experience a mental health challenge, accept that mental health challenges must be met with understanding and support, accept that bias and discrimination towards individuals who experience mental health challenges creates a barrier to seeking treatment, and it must be eliminated. To accept that our youth are facing serious challenges ahead that need to be addressed, and accept that the future well-being of our country depends on how we support and invest in our next generation. So I do have some other stats, but what I'm going to do is hand those into the board so that you can have those available to you. I'm also going to, just one more thing, I've also put all of our programs down. You'll be amazed at the different programs we have. I do want to say there is one stat I want you to know, and that is with everything that has gone on in the last couple of years and the challenges we had, in 2021, the Child and Family Program enrolled 695 children. And we're able to serve the majority of those. So my one other thing.
Keep going, it's fine. You could have many other things, yeah.
And I'm going to hand this into you too. This is the Oregon Family Support Network. Oh, you have that one. Wonderful.
Yep.
Okay. So I just did want to talk about that. We are sending 2 representatives for our program to be there and represent our county.
Great.
Linda, thank you so much. I appreciate that Linda talked about the health outcomes for adults. We know that it is not just intervention when a child is having struggles. It's about creating environments for all of us to thrive, for our children to thrive, and creating those environments that when they go through a healing process, they have a healthy environment to go back to. So public health and behavioral health are important partners, just like every community member is an important partner. We know that there are health outcomes that can happen from having one caring individual in a child's life. So I did give a handout that gives some statistics and some information, but I want to point out that to help a child be resilient, having that at least one positive and supporting relationship with an adult can make a difference. To feel confident and positive about themselves so that they can manage and cope with stress and that they're able to calm themselves. These are all attributes of resilient children. We all can help do that for our kids. We need connections and we need that support and that understanding. So changing it from awareness day to acceptance day seems very appropriate to be able to support children as they heal and to help them be resilient. So we just ask the community that everybody has an opportunity to help change a child's stories. So people can increase opportunities for kids to connect with caring adults. So you can become a mentor or you can become a volunteer and get involved in the community. Help kids recognize and remember that they're valued and verbally recognize their successes. Make time for fun, create opportunities for kids, engage in activities that they enjoy and find relaxing to help them cope. So I just wanted to, with sometimes the statistics seem so overwhelming, and they are, and we can all help. So thank you, Linda, for sharing all of that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jacobson, comments or questions?
Well, first of all, thank you both for being here. I always just have a passion for kids and youth, and I appreciate you, Sarah, kind of saying what we can all, do and play our part. And I have to say that growing up here and raising kids here, I think we do have a really amazing community. I know we have, struggles and challenges here, but there's a lot of really great adults in this community that coach sports and are mentors and do all kinds of things with youth. There's a lot of just really great people in this community, great foster parents, great people, I feel, that invest in the lives of youth. And I was certainly better for it growing up here, and my kids are too. And so, I think you're right. You hear the statistics and you kind of go, oh man, that's this huge problem. But I think we all have a role to play in that. So hopefully people watching this can think about, their own things they do and how they could expand that out to youth. And, I was curious about the statistics you were showing, because I think we would probably all agree that I think 2020 and 2021 was really difficult for youth. Certainly from a public health and keeping people alive, it was important, stay home orders and that kind of stuff. But I think there was a huge mental health toll on that. And I'm not even sure that we've completely seen, what that has done yet. I know for my own kids, especially the ones that are more maybe socially inclined, that, it was really a struggle. And like I said, even though school is back in session and activities are happening, I don't feel like we've completely seen kind of the consequences of some of that yet. So, thank you.
I don't think I have anything to add. Want to thank you for a great comprehensive presentation. I know this is a challenge that touches so many parts of our community, and it's nice to see the building of not just the county, but a true community-wide network to help those struggling with this issue. So I think we're ready for a motion now.
Yes, I will make a motion that we proclaim May 1 through 7th, 2022 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week, and May 5th, 2022 as Children's Mental Health Acceptance Day in Lincoln County.
I second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 And I will say I like the term acceptance. I think that was a good.
And I think next year you'll see acceptance on the
On the week.
On the week also.
Good. I like that.
Great. Next up, we have another proclamation. This one declaring April 30th, 2022 as National Therapy Animal Day in Lincoln County. Our presentation is by Barbara LaBosse, Pet Partners of the Oregon Coast. Come on forward, please. And Commissioner Jacobson will read this resolution.
And then Commissioner Jacobson will be petting the dog. I'm just gonna say that, but.
Just for that.
So good, but I will read this first. So proclaiming April 30th, 2022 as National Therapy Animal Day in Lincoln County. Whereas there are thousands of Pet Partners therapy animal teams serving in communities across the United States. And whereas Pet Partners has designated April 30th, 2022 as National Therapy Animal Day. And whereas Pet Partners therapy animal teams in Lincoln County play an essential role in improving human health and well-being through the human-animal bond. And whereas Pet Partners therapy animal teams make millions of visits per year in settings such as hospitals, nursing homes, schools, and hospice. And whereas Pet Partners therapy animal teams interact with a variety of people in our community, including veterans, seniors, patients, students facing literacy challenges, and those approaching end of life. And whereas these exceptional therapy animals who partner with human companions bring comfort and healing to those in need. Now, therefore, we, the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2022 as National Therapy Animal Day in Lincoln County and encourage our community to celebrate our therapy animals and their human handlers. Further, we publicly salute the service of therapy animal teams in our community and in communities across the nation.
I'd like to say as well, I have almost nothing to add to all of that. Actually, the only things I did want to express is the appreciation of our local teams. We are now up to, I think, about 10 or 12, the latest evaluation. They do go through quite a process of evaluating the dogs. Pet Partners is quite strict on their rules, but it's not just a dog training, it's a human team training that we have to go through to, and our primary awareness has to be of our dog and how it interacts. But following, it was actually lovely to follow what we just heard, because with the amount of stress, with the amount of anxiety that is going on through the pandemic, Pet Partners is looking so forward to being more open to places where they can be. I believe they just opened up the hospital for them to revisit again.
Wonderful.
So looking at children, this one in particular happens to be, as most of the animals are, they're very connected with children too. So looking at children's health and the difference that happens when you watch them sit and hug a dog or pet a dog. And it crosses all language barriers. I live in a very Hispanic area and I'm learning Spanish.
Wonderful. Good for you.
because I mean, what is the word for dog? What is a bad dog? You know, so that human animal bond does so much. And so on behalf of our local teams, the Pet Partners of Oregon Coast and Pet Partners, I want to thank you very much
Yeah.
for declaring April 30th.
Well, I want to go pet the dog and I think we should take a picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then adopt the proclamation.
Huh? You've been photographed a lot. Yeah, I
So
know.
who is this?
This is Magic. He was adopted 3 years ago.
Magic, hi. Hi, I know you do kids. Do you do stressed out county commissioners too?
Oh, I'm
Hi,
sure.
Magic. Hi, Magic. I bet you're picking up all my cats.
Oh, there's one that likes to come out and greet him.
Ah,
And he's not always
My
readable to
goodness.
cats.
Oh my gosh,
Uh-huh.
how are you? Yeah, nice to meet you. Uh-huh.
Can you sit and be nice?
So Magic was a
Oh.
rescue?
Yes, he was 8 years old when I rescued him. They found him in Salem,
oh,
on the street. No idea how long he'd been there. Oh yes, kissy kissies. But he was quite matted. So we had a little bit of work the first year, but now he's back in training. And I've personally been working with him since I think 2012 with the local team.
Mhm.
So my last dog was a therapy dog and we'll see how this one works out.
it's like he knows his
Yes, I
picture's
know.
being
Yes.
taken.
So well, it'd be nice. Do you want to sit with? No, oh, how's that?
Magic.
Hey there, Matt. Wrong end. Sit there, Matt. The wrong way. Chill out.
No dog can resist that.
You know, he would sit and pose the whole time and I gave him the treat.
Oh, darn.
All right, we got
Oh,
some
well.
info. So
Thank you. Well, thank you for
Thanks.
bringing us.
And thank you so much. And I apologize to the commissioners for being late. I
No, it all
showed up
worked
at the
out.
City council instead.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for coming.
No, that
Thank you.
worked out
Yeah.
fine. Okay, time to vote now.
Yeah, and actually, before we vote, one thing I was gonna say is, I don't know if you're connected with our youth shelter or not.
I don't.
That might be
know.
a good connection. I will try to send you an email and follow up and give you our supervisor over there, because our kids over there and young adults would probably enjoy that.
And I
So,
will add, I did volunteer for about 5 years at the Lincoln County Children's Advocacy Center.
okay,
Mm.
yeah,
At that time, one of the physicians involved did not want dogs because of
Okay.
allergies,
Hmm.
which we tried to argue against. But we do have to be certified and accepted by an area, by a particular department
okay.
or school or hospital or whatever to be,
In there.
we can start the program.
Yeah,
No.
okay. Well, I'll connect you with our youth shelter manager and
That'd be
you can
wonderful.
start a conversation.
That'd be
Yeah,
wonderful.
great.
Thank you.
Are you ready to make a motion, Commissioner?
I am. I make a motion that we proclaim April 30th, 2022 as National Therapy Animal Day in Lincoln County.
I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Thank you very much
Thank
for coming.
you. Yeah.
Thank you again.
And now we move on to the consent calendar. These are routine items that have been discussed at previous meetings. Is there any request from Commissioner Jacobson or staff to highlight or remove any of these items?
I don't need to remove or highlight something, but something kind of jars my memory on something else. So B1, appointing members of Sletts Area Enhanced Law Enforcement Service District Budget Committee. Kind of in relation to that, there seemed to be some confusion about their current contract for law enforcement. I got a call, I think last week, from their assistant tribal manager. Did we sort that out? Still being,
I signed another.
okay, so it's being sorted. Okay, all right, thanks. Nothing else from me
Okay.
on that.
I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent calendar as presented.
And I'll second. Motion and second for adoption of the consent calendar. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We move to decision and action items. Excuse me. And the first off is an order annexing certain property into the North Lincoln Fire and Rescue District Number 1. Assistant County Counsel Jerry Herbage. Are you online, Jerry, to walk us through this? We did, and we did go over it last week.
Yes,
So the floor is yours.
thank you very much. For the record, I am Jerry Herbage, Assistant Lincoln County Counsel, working for Kristen Ewell. And this particular annexation concerns a petition from agent Dennis Saylor on behalf of Catherine Patterson to annex property located at 9516 Siletz Highway into the North Lincoln Fire and Rescue District Number 1. As you indicated, Chair Hall, we did have the hearing on this on April 20th. At that time, the application was deemed complete. There was testimony in favor of the application by Dennis Saylor. There was no opposition testimony. And you'll recall I read into the record a statement from John O'Leary, planner with Lincoln County, that the proposed annexation of property located at 9516 Siletz Highway is consistent with the Lincoln County Comprehensive Plan. After that information came in, the board closed the record and decided to act on the order at the meeting scheduled for today. You have, and it's been brought up on the screen, the proposed order. I would ask that the board consider approving that. And I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know.
All right, any questions, Commissioner Jacobson?
No questions from me.
Well, I feel like we vetted this pretty thoroughly last week, and it's a non-controversial annexation. All the boxes have been checked. No opposition. I would entertain a motion if you're ready to make one.
I am. I make a motion to, let's see, annex the Peterson property located at 9516 Celeste Highway into North Lincoln Fire and Rescue District Number 1.
I second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now we move on to the 2022-23 CAFA grant resolution, and we vetted this, was it last week, with a presentation from Assessor Joe Davidson, and is Joe on the line, or I don't think we asked him to, but just want to acknowledge him if he is. Okay. Comments or questions, Commissioner Jacobson?
No comments or questions from me.
Well, I feel like ready to move forward on this, and really we have to do it today to meet the state's deadline of May 1st submittal of the grant.
So I have a question
Sure.
procedurally moving forward. Is this a motion to adopt the CAFA grant resolution?
It's just a motion to approve Joe to apply for it.
Okay,
It's to submit the application.
making notes and I'm ready. All right, I'm ready to make a motion, Chair.
Go ahead, please.
I will make a motion that we approve our Lincoln County tax assessor to apply for the 2022-23 CAFA grant.
I second the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is so ordered. And we move on to item C, a resolution in the matter of initiating amendments to the Lincoln County Code, Chapter 1, Administration. This is being presented by Assistant County Counsel Jerry Herbage and Planning Director Anno Husing. The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chair Hall and Commissioners. I'll begin this. Anno Husing will also have some comments. What we're asking the board to do is to give your permission to initiate the process. Think of this as a lengthy process to amend the administrative sections in Chapter 1 of the Lincoln County Code entitled Land Use Planning. When we say administrative, we're really talking about the procedural aspects, and so much of land use is procedure. So this is very important. You might ask, what does initiate the process mean? What does it look like? It is a matter in which we have a draft ordinance already, so we're going to continue to work on that. We're going to give the PAPA notice to DLCD. We're going to coordinate with Lisa Phipps, who's our North Coast Regional Rep. And we're likely going to have one or more work sessions with the Planning Commission. Also, one or more public hearings so the public can participate directly. And these will be initially before the Planning Commission. We'll receive a recommendation from the Planning Commission that will be brought back to you, the Board of Commissioners, for one or more additional hearings. The work product will be adopted eventually as an ordinance. So why are we doing this? Well, it's time to update our code. Land use is a field of law that is constantly changing. Since the last time that we adopted procedures, there have been a number of changes to the Oregon revised statutes and the Oregon administrative rules requiring amendments to the county code, but also consider that in some instances, our current land use practices don't exactly jive with what we have in the code there. These proposed amendments will address additional procedures not covered in the Lincoln County Code. One is we're adding possibly a section on interpretation. There's, for instance, sections on a section on what happens after a remand from LUBA. We didn't have that covered and so on. We're going to adopt more current terminology like type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4 reviews. That's the common parlance today, and we don't use that. We're going to delete some unnecessary restrictions and procedures and correct some internal inconsistencies and typos. This is a project that I initiated back in 2019, and I used my experience at Curry County somewhat, looked at that code, but we looked at a number of different codes, put together a proposal. I sent it over to Matt Spangler, who's one of our planners working part-time, and he's just an absolute expert. He did a nice job of going through and making some edits. So I said this was back in 2019. What happened was I was asked to temporarily put it on hold because I think we had a number of projects going on at the time. And then COVID happened. And so this was put on hold because of COVID. But the COVID pandemic is, at least the state declared emergency is over. We know that it's still happening, but we're able to meet back in person. We're able to more easily have hearings. And so we would like to start this process. We'd like to have the board's blessing. It'll take a little bit of time before it gets back to you because the notice and all the proceedings before the Planning Commission. But we feel very excited. I feel personally very excited about updating our code and bringing us current and having a more useful tool. It'd also be a great educational tool for our Planning Commission members. We have some newer members. By the time we're done with this process, they're going to understand land use much better than they did before. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But also our Lincoln County Planner, Anno Husing, who's been involved in this process significantly, would like to give an overview as well. Thank you.
Mr. Husing.
Chair Hall, members of the commission, Anno Husing, your planning director. You know, I really don't have anything to add. Jerry Herbage gave a pretty comprehensive explanation of what this is. Every once in a while, you got to do this, you know, comb out the stuff that's changed and make sure that what's in our code, especially for people externally who do look at our code, that it's all there, that there isn't something buried in an administrative rule or a new statute that we say, oh no, don't mind our code. Actually, what we got to do is this over here. So there's a lot of benefits to doing this. This is the first inning of this process. You're merely authorizing us to start the ball rolling, as Jerry said. And I'm just honored to have people of Jerry's caliber and Matt Spangler's caliber working with our friends at DLCD to go through this and update this. And I'm looking forward to doing it. And if you have any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them.
One question comes to mind for folks coming in, customers on the other side of the counter looking, say, to start construction of a home or a commercial building. Do you anticipate these changes will impact the way you're doing business right now in any way?
No, because if there are inconsistencies that reflect an administrative rule, we're bound under Oregon law to apply the administrative rule anyway. And you know, some people do like to read our code. So if they inadvertently get direct, I mean, that's another reason for the external face. We sort of know internally that there's some, you know, things that need to be addressed, but so people are not going to really experience anything different. And really what we're not doing is changing at all the substance of the administrative process. We're merely making sure it's properly aligned and fully transparent to our partners that on that administrative section.
Great. Commissioner Jacobson, any questions for Anno or Jerry?
No questions. I'm glad to see we're starting this up again. I remember, I think when I first became a commissioner, we were just kind of starting this and going through that process of cleaning up code. And I don't remember if it was in this county Council Urbage or in Curry County, but I remember you telling me that you had found like old code about the number of like hitching posts. You had to have in front of a public building or something, which was still in our code. And technically you needed to have X number of hitching posts, which obviously isn't important now. So I think it's important just to go through and clean it up and make it consistent with state rules. And also, needs of society.
Must have been a very early
Which
version
are
of the
not a
code.
hitching post anymore. I don't know, with gas prices, maybe we need to go back to hitching posts. Yeah, so.
I'm in total agreement, Commissioner Jacobson. And as already has been stated, this is just the very first step of the process. We're giving staff directive to move forward. Are you ready to make a motion?
I am, if you let me get to where my notes are, here we go. I make a motion that we adopt the resolution initiating amendments to the Lincoln County Code, Chapter 1 regarding administration.
I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is approved. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
On
you,
to-
commissioners.
Thanks.
On to discussion and information items, and we have one presentation. Our friends from the Oregon Department of Forestry and Matt Thomas, come on forward, and Michael, yeah. I'm sorry. Yep. All right, gentlemen, good morning and welcome. We do this every year and that time's rolled around again. Huh?
Good morning.
Okay.
All right, well, good morning, Chair Hall, Commissioner Jacobson, other county staff. So for the record, my name is Michael Curran. I'm the District Forester for ODF's West Oregon District. So let Matt introduce himself real quick.
Yep, Matt Thomas. I'm the unit forester for our Toledo unit, which encompasses all of Lincoln County.
Yep. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is I'll probably start through just local district updates, in particular around Lincoln County. And then if we've got time, I'm not sure how much time we were allotted. We can go through some statewide updates that are pertinent for you guys as well. Okay, so with that, hopefully you guys received our copy of the org chart and the one pager that kind of describes, so that kind of describes all the business we conduct at a very high level. We can get into the weeds a lot with that, but just so you guys have that as a reference, there's that for you. So I'll kind of start with a staffing update. Just like a lot of people, we're having a lot of turnover, a lot of hard time recruiting, trying to find good folks. As a district, we've been very blessed and fortunate to have a lot of people work 30+ years, not only for the agency, but for the district. And rightfully so, they've earned their right for retirement and to move on. So we're starting to face that as a district locally. We've had 2 staff this year, with one had 35 years, the other one's going to have 32 years. They're both retiring. And then we're going to start seeing that too over the next 2 to 3 years with a few other staff that we've got. So with that, there's a lot of history and experience going out the door, but there's a lot of really good opportunities for folks to come in behind them. And then kind of with that, within Toledo, we do have one staff turnover that we're working through right now. We had a local stewardship forester. So our stewardship foresters are responsible for administering the Forest Practices Act. The individual received a promotion that was in it before to actually move over to our Philomath unit as a unit manager, which is good for him. And then Matt's currently in the process of recruiting for to backfill behind him right now. So hopefully we'll have a new stewardship forester here in the next couple of weeks. So with that, just like you guys, we're finally starting to open back up and get back into doing in-person things, which is really nice. You know, we've gone through a couple iterations of reopening state government, and it's been canceled right before we got there. So fingers crossed, May 1st is that date's gonna stick, and we'll be able to reopen our offices technically Monday, May 2nd. That's the plan right now. So we'll be able to reopen our offices for the public to come back in. So looking forward to that. And then kind of before we get into some of the various program updates, I do want to give a big thank you to the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office for 2 folks that we work very closely with and are of great help to us. The first one being Emergency Manager Jenny Damaris. She does a lot of good help working with Matt quite a bit just on fire season messaging and getting word out for us. She continues to be a great partner for us. So if you guys could help pass that along, and awareness for you. And then the second one being the Woods Patrol Deputy Program Lincoln County Sheriff's has. Deputy Vale has always done a very good job for us in patrolling or helping patrol our state lands. And also he does that as well for other private landowners in the county. And that program continues to be a success. And just for awareness, we'd like to see that continue as much as we can because we've had very good luck with the sheriff's office. So thank you for making that happen for us. So, and then we got one more quick update. Matt will go over our ongoing project of trying to get a new office built for us in Toledo.
I think we've reported on it multiple different years since I've been here, just on our need to move our current facility based on some failing slopes and hillside and just being pretty tight in town there in Toledo. That's been a challenge, just finding land that fits our needs. And that's been a multiple year process. But currently we're working with the city of Newport and a private landowner on the north end of Newport to purchase two pieces of land that are side by side and basically co-locate with the city of Newport. They would co-locate with us in our new building for a satellite station on the north end of Newport. So
Fire station.
a fire station, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're getting closer. Tomorrow's a big day for us as far as that process goes. We're presenting in front of the Public Land Advisory Committee. And so that'll kind of, we're seeking their approval. If we get that, we can continue on in the process and keep going. So there's lots of different hoops to still jump through, but we're making progress there. So
You didn't want King Salvage? You don't have to say anything.
It's available.
I don't know if, honestly, I don't know if it would have been big enough. At that. So
okay.
in just the usable space.
We did look at it.
I remember that.
the
Yeah,
layout-
I remember that.
The layout didn't quite work for our
Okay.
operation.
Mhm.
So yeah, excited to potentially be moving to Newport. This has been a very long project for us. And especially being able to work with the city of Newport, looking forward to that partnership. And I think being in Newport will kind of help us be a little more centrally located from a fire response standpoint, and just from where our general customer base is coming from into the office. So. Okay, with that, we'll kind of go through some of our three main field operating programs we have. And if you guys have any questions throughout, please just holler and we'll pause. So we'll go ahead and start with our fire protection program. So as a district, we're responsible for a little under 1.1 million acres of wildland fire protection within Lincoln, Benton, Polk, and the southern half of Yamhill County. Within Lincoln County specifically, we're responsible for about 430,000 acres of wildland fire protection. So if you remember this time last year, very different tone for a fire update we had to give you all just because of the Echo Mountain Complex 2020. And thankfully, we had a much different fire season locally in 2021, which was a relief, I think, for the community, for us as firefighters. And everybody else. So Matt will kind of go through kind of a quick fire season update from last summer, and then I can talk through what we're expecting this coming summer.
Yeah. So like Michael said, last year was a little different, just coming off the heels of the 2020 season and the Echo Mountain Complex. Our 2021 fire season was shaping up to be, fairly significant again here locally. Just with drought conditions and the lack of snow and rain throughout the state. Luckily for us here, we had 9 fires for just under 3.5 acres. One of those fires was 2.5 acres. So the lion's share of that total acreage was in one fire. So a very successful year here, keeping fire off the landscape. And that's in partnership with our partners with U.S. Forest Service, BLM, and all the fire districts in the county as well. So, talking about the Echo Mountain Complex a little bit, lots of, salvage operations and different assistance programs up there to try to get folks recovered on the natural resources side as well as the housing side. But most of the industrial timber owners that were affected in that area have finished their salvage operations and have seedlings in the ground and getting that back to forested land. And our stewardship forester for the north end of the county, he's been working with those small landowners quite a bit. And it's varying from a few trees here and there to smaller harvests. But he's been working with those folks in a very variety of different, grants and other methods, FSA, NRCS with some EFIRP stuff or EQIP stuff, to get those folks back up and going again. So most of that is finished up and we're moving forward.
And kind of looking forward to this summer. We get a lot of questions this time of year of what to expect for fire season. And usually what I tell folks, May and June really are going to dictate what fire season is going to be like for us. We had a very wet fall, which was nice. We needed it. But then we had a fairly dry start to the year. And now we're starting to see some more rain and snow in the higher elevations, which is really good for us. But we can have a very wet fall and a very wet winter, but if May and June are dry, we're gonna have a very bad fire season, or at least the potential for a bad fire season. So really May and June are the 2 months that I really pay close attention to. This rain and snow, like I said, we're getting is good for us. We need it. It's adding to the rainfall totals and the overall moisture we have. But May and June will ultimately dictate what kind of fire season we're gonna have around the state and locally. So that's where we're really gonna pay attention. And talking with our forecasters, they are calling for a warmer and drier May and June as it gets closer to summer. So we'll kind of see how it shakes out. So with that, we also, as part of our fire program, we administer a lot of federal grants to administer fuels reduction treatments around homes. And with that, Matt can kind of give you an update on where we're at with fuels reduction grants within Lincoln County.
Yeah, so we've had several fields reduction grants here over the years, and we do have some Firewise communities, Salishan and Logsdon being those Firewise communities. But our current in this current grant cycle, we've got fields reduction grants for the Panther Creek area, which it encompasses most of the Echo Mountain footprint, and we've actually expanded the scope of that grant to kind of basically come all the way into that east side of Lincoln City. So right there on Devil's Lake and the rural areas around town there. Also part of that grant is the Ekman Creek area. So just outside of Waldport. We just received those funds this last fall.
We'll get them this July.
We'll get them this July. So we'll start expending those funds with our community wildfire forester out of Dallas. So Trask Hodgson, he was one of our firefighters here. He took that position there in Dallas, but he administers that program for our whole district.
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
So will that help, like in the Panther Creek area, will that help get out all the now dead wood that was cut and left after the fire?
Potentially.
Okay.
Yep.
Because that is a huge issue. I mean, a lot of those trees came down and needed to come down, but now they are just sitting behind people's brand new homes.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
there's
and
not.
that's all stuff Trask's going to have to work through on seeing where the hazards are and identifying where those fuel loads are and working through that.
So it's not just taking down brush or trees that are still alive. It could potentially deal with stuff that's down and dead and creating a fuel load. Great.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
If there's a tied defensible space, we can probably make it work.
Okay.
It's important to note too, though, it's not an unlimited grant by any means. I mean, we are limited in dollars we get. So we just have to be careful how many big projects we're taking on with it.
Yeah.
So it's just something we'll have to manage depending on the interest we get.
Okay.
From the locals. And I think it's also important to note, we actually had this grant submitted prior to the Echo Mountain complex happening. And we actually were tentatively awarded before the fire occurred as well. But since that fire, we actually, like Matt mentioned, we did expand the area with it to encompass a lot more of where the fire actually occurred.
Yeah.
The area we submitted incorporated some of it, but not all of it. So we were able to expand that footprint a little bit. So hopefully that'll help out.
Yeah, because I mean, I think this is a big issue for the community right now. And they're trying to seek funds for like a wood chopper and like a portable sawmill, just trying to find a way to get it out of there through volunteers and stuff. So I will connect you, Matt, to them. I mean, you probably already are, but they're kind of looking at their watches, thinking fire season is coming really
Sure.
soon here and trying to do whatever they can to get it out.
Yep.
So,
And we, in other counties, I can't speak for this one because I'm not sure where you guys are at with it, but in other counties, we've utilized Title III funds through the county for like community chipping events.
that's
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
So that might be I don't know where you're at with Title III funds, but that's something we usually help out with, particularly in Benton County, we've done that. It's been a little bit since we've done it, but that I think there's different options out there we might be able to entertain.
Yeah, and we actually have several kind of wildfire recovery grants. I hadn't thought about a chipping event. That might be
Nice idea.
kind of fun. Yeah.
Worth exploring.
So, yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah.
I got one small go back kind of on fire season last year. While things were fairly light here, which was good. Other places in the state were not so lucky. The majority of Klamath and Lake County, they were kind of under siege from fire from early summer all the way until early fall. So we did have the opportunity to send folks from our unit, whether they were on the incident management teams or just extra resources on engines or overhead, to those other districts to help out for fire support.
Yep, and as far as a statewide prediction too, it looks like the fire kind of where most of the fires will be occurring, just depending on where we're at with the drought status for most counties, is still going to be that east slopes of the Cascades and the Klamath Lake area again, which unfortunately isn't a good thing for them with the past couple summers they've had. So, but that's kind of where it looks like most of the fire activity will be occurring this year as well. So. Now, one last thing with protection. So if you guys recall, we have a forest land classification committee that's put through the county, which that committee's charged with determining who receives wildland fire protection from the Oregon Department of Forestry. And Matt can give you a quick update on where we're at with that committee.
Yep. So we meet once a year to make sure that the classification is current and up to date. We'll have a meeting hopefully later this spring with that committee. But so far everything is current and up to date, as well as all the committee members. I think you guys had a resolution last month to renew those committee members from the board's appointees. So I thank you guys for that.
So I guess any questions on the fire protection side of things before we move on?
Not for me.
So just it sounds like you have had the great resignation as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any concerns about hiring your seasonal fire crew?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
I just,
Of- of good-
yeah, I
there's a-
just had some
yeah.
heartburn.
Yeah.
Flame up. Yeah.
There's a
No,
but there.
we've been looking at that all winter and early spring and very nervous because we've had quite a bit of turnover in this unit, as well as we've added a couple positions with some Senate Bill 762 money that Michael might talk about later. So yeah, hiring and we're looking at it, in all job opportunities. It's tough. Even for my permanent stewardship forester job, the pool was pretty light. So yeah, myself and Charlie Red Heifer, my protection supervisor, have been pretty nervous about getting enough applicants. And so they just conducted interviews for our fire positions last week. And I think Charlie's got plenty of folks to choose from. Quite a few local folks, kids right out of high school. So that was very encouraging. So
Oh, good. Okay.
I think we're going to be in a good spot this year, which is a nice surprise because I was kind of fearing the worst with
Yeah,
whatever
you
was going
scared
on
me
in
there.
there.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I had my oldest son who's now 24 worked fire crew for several summers, not with you guys, but it was a good experience for him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on to our state forest program. So a couple types of state lands that we do manage. The first one being our border forestry lands. So those are the properties that any revenue we receive, 2/3 of that goes to the counties. And then we also manage our common school land funds So with that, from Lincoln County in particular, so as a district, we manage a little over 36,000 acres total of state forest land. For Lincoln County in particular, a little over 15,000 of that is Board of Forestry acres. And a little over 4,500 of that, the Common School Fund acres that we manage. So kind of a revenue update for you. So revenue to date for the current fiscal year, which is FY22, we've been able to contribute $341,000 to the county and local taxing districts. For our last fiscal year, that with revenue that came into the county and local taxing districts, a little over 2.1 million. And then we're currently in the planning process for our FY23 annual operations plan. That the public comment period for that ends next week, I believe. But in that, barring any changes from public comments that we receive, we have 3 sales that are planned in Lincoln County for FY23. Estimated to bring in a little over 2.4 million in net costs. So that's after we harvest the timber and get all the project work done and road maintenance work done. That's the estimated net costs that we would expect to come into the county. And again, that won't all happen. That won't all come in next fiscal. That our timber sale contracts range anywhere from 2 to 3 years. So that 2.4 million will come in over a 2 to 3 year time frame.
Question if I could?
Yeah.
So 2.1 million previous fiscal year, 341,000 so far this year, and then projected uptick in 23. This is kind of a roller coaster, but from my memories, it seems like that's the way it's worked out over the last several years.
Yep. Yeah. We've got 3 counties that we've got state forest land in, and we try to balance that out the best we can amongst all the counties. Lincoln County usually does get more just because that's where a lot of our ownership is. But I forgot to bring kind of I usually bring the last 5 years. So if you guys have questions, my apologies, I forgot it. So I can provide that info to you, but it usually ranges between 1 to 2.5 million-ish, somewhere in there, depending on the year. And the log market stayed up the past few years, which has been good. We've tried to take advantage of that where we can with some of the sales that we do. So yeah, the last few years we have been able to bring in quite a bit to the county.
Yeah, I was going to ask if that uptick is because of more acreage or because of a higher price.
Taking advantage of the market when we can.
Okay.
So. We're stuck. So we have kind of our main forest management plan that we operate under. And then we have what we call an implementation plan that covers 10 years. That's tied to how we operate under the forest management plan. And in our implementation plan, it's built in there that our average harvest that we do is 12 million board feet. And we try to stick to that every year.
Okay. So. Thanks.
Yep. And then just I think you guys are aware of this already, but our Mount Baber ATV Club that's housed out of Toledo, we continue to have a great partnership with them. They have their ATV trail system that encompasses both private land and state lands, and we continue to work with them. And they've been a great group to work with, and they seem to be in a good spot right now as a group, and we'll continue that partnership moving forward. And then also just for awareness, kind of a neat project we got going on. We're going to try to get it done last year. It just didn't work out. So we're going to try to get it finished this year, but we've got a stream enhancement project in the Wolf Creek drainage, which is central eastern Lincoln County, with the installment of large woody debris in the stream. We're working with ODF&W to improve fish habitat in the Wolf Creek drainage. So kind of a neat project we have going on there. So any questions state forest wise?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I had mine answered already.
Yeah, me too. As always, we appreciate this report, very comprehensive, and I value, and I think everybody in the county values the great working relationship we have with ODF, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year, if not before.
Okay.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll have broken ground on a new facility.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Yep. And if you guys are interested, we do have a quick update on our private forest program.
Sure.
If you guys are interested. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry. That was
you're
just our
fine.
state forest program in
Yeah.
general. So our Forest Resources Program formerly used to be the Private Forest Program. We just renamed it as an agency. So that's that program's charged with the administration of the Oregon Forest Practices Act. So with that, we've got 2 stewardship foresters that work out of our Toledo office. And they're responsible for everything that occurs in Lincoln County from a Forest Practices Act standpoint. Once COVID-19 got here, there was a lot of unknown what was going to happen with the log market, but it's actually stayed up for the most part and fairly steady. It's gone up a little bit, down a little bit, and kind of ebbed and flowed, but I'd say it's stayed fairly consistent, which has been good. So a lot of landowners have been able to stay busy and keep folks working on the timber industry side of things. So that's been good. So Matt's got a few different updates here just from the Lincoln County perspective within Forest Resources.
Yeah, so for 2021, the overall number of operations that we had was down compared to 2020. And a lot of that had to do with a lot of the large industrial landowners that we've got here in the area also have lands in the Cascades, which were heavily affected by fire. And so they moved a lot of their operators and their logging equipment to the Cascades just to really ramp up the salvage operations over there. That's all kind of wrapping up on the Cascade side, and that's slowly starting to trickle back and kind of ops normal back here in the county again. And then just lastly, just a quick update on the Fall Creek slide down just off of Highway 34. Things so far this winter have seemed to hold pretty steady where they've been. We continue to monitor that very closely as far as once we're getting, or when we get rain and when there's large snow forecast or a freeze thaw event, some of those different weather patterns that might trigger some activity on that. We're still working close with the fish hatchery and the hatchery manager on just the early notice that worked very, very well when that slide did occur the first time.
And so second time, I think it worked pretty well the second time it happened.
Yeah. So it's a really good way to notify folks at any hour. It's a 24/7 system that, if the water shuts off in the stream, basically due to a blockage upstream, their low water alarms go off, and it gives us a warning that something has happened without actually having to go up and get underneath of the slide. So, that thing I think is going to be on the landscape for many, many years. And it's just going to be one of those that we continue to watch and monitor and keep people safe. So,
Thank you. Anything else, guys?
No, we've got some statewide updates, but if we've taken enough time, we can skip those. We really just.
Could you provide those to us in writing for review?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Appreciate that. Anything else, Commissioner Jacobson?
Nothing else for me.
Okay, as always, thanks for a great informative presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Commissioner reports. Do you have anything, Commissioner Jacobson?
Not so much a report, but just something I want to kind of try to speak in the microphone here. I wanted to kind of bring up or think about is my understanding is the city of Lincoln City has just passed a firework ordinance. I think they did that this week. And I feel like it is, what's the date? April
27th.
27th. I feel like it is time for us to start discussing this. I think last year we started way too late. I think we started having those discussions in June. So I'm hoping we can maybe get a copy of what they did in Lincoln City. I think Walport and Yahats maybe already have passed or have intention to pass one, which they did last year as well. So I think we should try to get it back on our agenda and talk about it. Now I know there's some, law enforcement concern and that kind of stuff, but talking about it in mid to late June is just we need to talk about it now.
Yeah, the discussion needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, hearing projections of drought again this summer, possibly severe, I think adds to the urgency of this.
Yeah, and I think that education piece, if there was a ban passed, I think that education piece is really important. And if you do that in late June, people already made their plans, people already bought their stuff, whatever. They already want to come to the beach to blow stuff up or whatever. So I think that hey, you laugh, but it's true. So I think doing it early where there's time to have that educational component would be really important. So.
Okay, so I've had some conversation with staff. Will you be able to bring something to us in the next 2-3 weeks, maybe?
Sure, a
Okay.
draft ordinance.
Yeah. We move now to the public comment time, and I understand we have one submission on the smart sheet.
Yeah, we do. It's in front of you right now. From
Yeah, I
Heather
saw
Mann.
this.
Okay, we have nobody is
Oh.
joining us virtually right now.
Yes, and actually, can I comment on the public comment?
Oh, yeah. Why
Yes.
not?
So Heather Mann, as well as the Port of Newport Local Fishermen's User Committee, sent us a letter
Mhm.
about their concerns with offshore wind. And what I suggested to Heather is we have our own Fishermen's Advisory Committee called the Fine or Fishermen Involved in Natural Energy that advises
Mhm.
the board. I actually started back when I worked for Sea Grant, and it still meets today. So I suggested that she come to our next fine meeting and present that letter there. And, that would be the appropriate processes for our own Fishermen's Advisory Committee to advise us on what they think or what they would like us to do. So, and she was supportive of that. So that's kind of the process we have to address that.
Sounds great.
Yep.
Casey, do we have anyone signed up for in-person testimony?
No.
Okay, then I'll remind everyone, the Board of Commissioners office staff meeting will be conducted 9 o'clock Monday morning, May 2nd, through a hybrid format in person and streaming online. And then we'll be back in this room Wednesday, May 4th, 10 a.m. for our weekly public business meeting. Until then, we're adjourned.
Do you have a minute?
Well, I don't know what to do. Got right before